cha-ching goes off, like a huge order comes through, and I made an extra $250 that order. Hello all, we are in my kitchen today. As you can see, I thought about actually getting dressed up, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep it raw and bare, just like this video, because we are talking about, is it worth it doing print on demand in 2024? And is it something that you should consider doing? Let me take these glasses off, because the glare, I can't do the glare. So print on demand I've been doing for about 2 years now, and I have acquired, you know, some knowledge when it comes to this space. Am I a guru? No. But do I have some knowledge? Yes. I feel like any knowledge that you don't know is knowledge gained. I feel like if it's not 10K knowledge and it's still a couple $100 extra a month knowledge, I feel like that's knowledge that you might want to know. So I wanted to make this video for you guys to showcase, is Etsy print on demand something that you should really get into in the 2024 world? For those of you who don't know, print on demand is essentially you design a graphic and then you post it on Etsy with a mock-up image, and then from there somebody will purchase that product on Etsy, and then a third-party fulfillment service will go ahead and package, print, and deliver the order for you. And you never have to touch the product, and you are making the profit off of whatever you're selling it for. It's a great opportunity because you don't have to physically make all these products. You literally can create them digitally, and like I said, you're slapping them on a mock-up and you really are not touching the product at all. So it's a very low barrier to entry for any entrepreneur that really wants to get started in the space. So now I wanted to make a pros and cons list to just kind of make you guys aware of some things of what the reality of print on demand is. So let's just go on with the list. So let's start with the cons list, shall we? Let's get the negatives out of the way. Competition. That competition will eat you up and spit you out, bro. You need to get some type of market research app, whether that's Allura, that's Everbee, that's eRank. You need to get some type of market research tool to make this whole process easier for you, because I promise if you just start making random designs for a niche that you think might work well, like a nurse niche, your chances of being discovered with 0 sales, 0 reviews is as good as finding a needle in a haystack. So you need to make sure that you have some type of market research app, because that will actually put you in the game. So like I said, fierce competition can be really daunting, but once you do market research and you understand what niche you could design for and what niche you like designing for, it'll make the game a whole lot easier for you. Number 2, pricing pressures. Now for me, I never really lowered my prices for any of my items just because I always was stingy and I wanted to make some type of profit, and you know, that's me. But if you wanted to set yourself apart, you could price your products a little lower under market value to try to get some sales in. Although there is a chance of more orders coming in, you're still taking on more responsibility of knowing all these orders are going out. You have to be tracking these orders and making sure they all got delivered. What if there's a reprint error and you have to reprint those orders? It's just a lot more for, you know, a lot less profit. However, when you're beginning, it could be a good method to get more sales. Like I said, I never did this personally, so I can't really speak on that too much, but I do know other sellers who have had that experience. So just that's something to be aware of, is when you're pricing your products, you want to price them, you know, in market value. You want to make some type of profit to where you feel like you're getting paid your due. Number 3, kind of what I was talking about earlier with, you know, printing errors, shipping issues, you got to rely on a third-party platform. For me, I use Printify. I've loved Printify. It has done wonders for me. It always comes out good print. Like 99.9% of the time, I never have an issue with them. But when you do have an issue, it could be an issue. You lose the order and it happens to be Greg's best friend's Valentine's Day's date, brother-in-law's wedding, and you miss out on that and they're angry at you. They want to write you a nasty review and you have to do customer service. It does suck because you have to rely on somebody else. However, if this is a passive business, one bad order for the 100 good orders that you get, it's like, you know, take it or leave it. And probably the biggest con I'd see out of all of these is marketing. Marketing is the backbone of your business. You could have the most amazing product, but if it is not marketed to the right audience, you are not going to succeed. You could have a competitor that is selling something so booty compared to your product, but if their marketing is better than your marketing, guess who's getting the sale? So that's why I say it is so important to invest in good mock-ups, because your customer shops with their eye. They don't shop by seeing your little design. No, they see it on a model and they're like, oh my God, that model looks so good in that shirt, in that design. I need it, I want it, give it to me. You know what I'm saying? Another challenge too, kind of over on the topic of designing, is literally designing. Knowing what platforms to use. There's Canva, there's Kittl, there's Photoshop. I personally use Canva and Kittl. I tried Photoshop and I was like, I have no idea how to work this, and I was about to have a mental breakdown, so I was like, yep, we're gonna stick with the basics. I would recommend knowing what platform you wanna design with, because that's gonna make your life a whole lot easier. And you also have to remember that your first, 100 listings are gonna be pretty bad. like nobody's gonna buy it realistically. Unless you are a graphic designer and you have all this background knowledge, your products probably are not gonna perform well. You know, you may get some visits, you may get some favorites, but it might be, you know, few and far between that you actually get a sale. You just have to remember that your first 100 designs or so, like, give yourself some leeway. They're not gonna be amazing, but I promise you, the more you keep designing, the more you're going to get better at it. It's like a muscle, right? The more you work out that muscle, the stronger that muscle will get. So that's what I have for cons, but let's get into pros, because the pros are proing. So now for the pros, the moment you've all been waiting for. The first one is low barrier to entry. Kind of what I was saying earlier, you really do not have to have any inventory going into this at all. Virtually, you literally have no inventory. You can order a sample of your product if you want to, but me, I have never ordered a single product of my own just because I knew from watching all these videos that the quality was gonna be good. So there really is such a low barrier to entry into this business model. The only thing you're really gonna pay for is you're gonna want some really solid mock-ups, which could run you anywhere from, you know, $2 to $5 a mock-up. And then you're gonna also want some type of creative platform designing account like Canva or Kittl, which runs from about $10 to $15 a month. And then if you want to run ads on your shop, then you're gonna obviously have a budget per day of what you wanna spend. And the third one's optional, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to run ads, but it's just something to consider. The second one is the passive income potential. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have been out and about with my friends and all of a sudden you'll hear the cha-ching go off and all my friends are like, oh my God, you just made money. I'm like, yeah, I did. Yeah, and what of it? And it's the coolest feeling in the world, right? Like, I remember one time, like, I was at Disney World with my friends and literally cha-ching goes off, like a huge order comes through and I made an extra $250 that order. And now passive income, I wouldn't really consider it passive income because you did put so much work into it up front, considering you did it right and all, like you did market research, you invested in good mock-ups, you made really good designs, you did really good SEO. You know, it's not passive, but it's nice because all the hard work you did in the beginning is paying off at a later date when you're not actively thinking about work. The more quality listings you have, the more you're gonna get paid. So just keep that in mind. Number 3, creative freedom. I don't feel like that's talked about enough on here. People are always just kind of talking about getting a buck. If you are an artist or a graphic designer or some type of artsy-fartsy person, this really may be the business for you. You can make a ton of design. You can really experiment with what you like and, you know, maybe what your audience likes that you're trying to engage with. This outlet really does give creative people a freedom to create what they want to create. And I feel like that's not really talked about enough on here. So that's number 3, is you really do get a lot of creative freedom with this business model. And number 4, the scalability. So I kind of talked about this earlier on my YouTube channel. When I first ever started my shop, I started it as an embroidery shop. And when I'm telling you the amount of time and stress and hours I put into my embroidery shop, just to get one listing up, and the chances of it selling were like, you know, slim to none. When I would get an order, I would have to iron out the shirt. I have to put this little backing on it and make sure it was even. I'd have to put it back on my embroidery machine, wait for an hour for it to embroider, cut off all these loose ends, iron it out, wrap it up, and send it off to the post office and wait for 7 days for it to get to the customer. The amount of time it took me to do this just as a single person running my shop was insane. And I originally started my shop because I wanted it to be passive. I wanted it to feel like I was, you know, kind of living that digital nomad life. So it's very scalable because, like I said, you're never touching a product, you're never creating it, you're never really actually involved in the hands-on process of getting that product to the customer. All you're responsible for is digitally creating something. Think of it like this: it's so much easier to create 100 digital designs versus 100 physical products. So now, is it worth it? Print on demand, I have told countless people, get into it if you can. If you have the time, if you have the energy, if you have the patience, if you are consistent, you need to get into this business model. I don't know if you watched my last video where I talked about print on demand pays for pretty much all of my vacations. I'm not joking. Every single vacation I took last year and taking this year, print on demand has paid for. It's a great side hustle, or it can be a great full-time income stream, just depending on how many hours you put into it. You can make so much money with this model, and I'm always telling people, get into it while you can, because it will become Amazon and it will be so hard to get into if you don't get into it now. But I do want you to know that print on demand is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're building a business, right? And with a good business, you don't want it to be a get-rich-quick scheme. You want it to be around for years and years and years to come. So just remember that nothing good happens overnight, and if you want this business to be successful, you're gonna have to go through the trials and tribulations of owning a business, you know, starting it, of really getting it off the ground. But I promise you, once you get it up and off the ground, you will not be sorry. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found some type of use in it, and if you did, please like and comment. I will hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.